let's go. Welcome back into the Skooshi Sport Podcast and your Teamless Tuesday for round one Vegas games, baby. We have made it. We are here. Christmas for NRL fans, literally super coaches, everyone involved in the NRL. The first official Teamless Tuesday of the year, baby. Vegas, baby. How freaking good. Oh, so excited. Just got home from work. Have not seen the team list at all. I'm going to give you my live reaction to the team list for Knights, Cowboys, and Bulldogs, and the Dragons. So freaking keen to see how these four teams are going to line up 1 to 19 for these two games. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. We've got this screen up here. Knights and Cowboys team list, baby. We're going to start with the Knights. I'm going to do one team at a time rather than doing one position at a time here. So starting with Newcastle Knights, Kalyn Ponga, the captain, will be making starting his first game of the year for Newcastle. Did not play any of the trials due to a little bit of a niggle. One thing I have concern about Kalyn Ponga is he is playing, obviously, first game of the year. It's goal kicking. Will he goal kick in this game? I don't believe he will from what I've heard, but we'll just have to wait and see when it comes to that one there. On your wings here, we have got Dom Young and Greg Marzhew there. Honestly, it was a toss-up where Fletcher Sharp was going to be in this team. Going by from what I've seen in the centres, does not look like he will be in the backline here for Newcastle. So you've got two out-and-out wingers. Dom Young was always going to be starting on that right wing. But Greg Marzhew, I honestly thought Greg Marzhew in that second try was pretty impressive for Newcastle, despite them getting flogged by the Bulldogs there. Thought he was pretty impressive in that trial despite the loss, so I think he does deserve his spot there. In your centers, this is pretty much an unchanged sort of back five from last year. Dane Gagai and Bradman Best, pretty two awesome centers, honestly, when you think about it. One of the best center pairings in the comp, one that goes very underrated, I think. And quite a shining light in this Knights team here. Bradman Best, Origin player, and Dane Gagai also has played Origin previously as well. Dane Gagai will be on the right. Bradman Best will be on the left for Newcastle here. Going down into the halves, what are we going to expect here? So, oh my goodness gracious me. What? Holy shit. Justin Holbrook at Sydney Airport said that Sandon Smith and Dylan Browns would be in the halves in Newcastle. What do you fucking know? Fletcher Sharp and Dylan Brown in the halves. Dylan Brown wearing the 7 jersey, did not play 7 at all in the last trial. Fletcher Sharp in the halves. Oh my goodness gracious me. Super coaches, that has really opened up the door for Fletcher Sharp as a cheeky little pod option. Wow. Wow. I was not expecting those two halves combination. I am very intrigued to see how Dylan Brown goes in the 7 jersey playing. See if he plays on the right side, see like what happens with the kicking game. Wow. I am very interested to see. I'm assuming Sandon Smith is on the bench here, but wow, I was not expecting that whatsoever. I was fully expecting Sandon Smith and Dylan Brown in the halves. In the forwards here, we've got Jacob Saifidi and Trey Mooney, which is good to hear. Honestly, I am looking at this blind, but if I heard one little rumor today, it was Trey Mooney would not be starting, and I'm so freaking glad to see that he is starting. Deserves his opportunity there. He is going to be the alpha dog for the Newcastle Knights in this forward pack, I think. Despite how lean it is, I think Trey Mooney has to step up and got his starting role here. I think he has to step up from round 1 in this team. So Jacob Saifidi there as well. Phoenix Crossland there in the 9. Pretty stock center. I actually really like Phoenix Crossland. I think he's very underrated. Thought he played very well for the Kiwis at the end of last year. Left edge, we've got Dylan Lucas. Right edge, Jermaine McEwen getting a start on that right edge. Pretty expected with McEwen. I'm just intrigued to see. I'm assuming Thomas Kant is on the bench here. Just intrigued to see how his minutes do look if Thomas Kant is on the bench. Tyson Frizzell in that lock roll there, which I like. Here we go on the bench here. So we've got Sandon Smith in the 14. Very intrigued to see how that works, where he comes on as a number 9, where he comes on as sort of in the halves potentially. Going by this, it would lead me to think that Kalyn Ponga is all good and fit and healthy and will be goal kicking for this game, which is big news and great news for Newcastle. We've got Matt Croker, Thomas Kant there on the as a replacement edge, who I think will come on and get minutes off
Jermaine McEwen, Sami Solo, Fletcher Hunt as well. A little bit of a sort of X Factor play, I guess a little bit of a backline play. And then Francis Leilua. I don't know too much about him, sorry, but looks like a handy little replacement. But wow, I was fully not expecting that halves combination. That has completely taken me out of absolutely nowhere for Newcastle and Justin Holbrook, going by what he said at Sydney Airport. And all good to see that apparently Kalen Pong is all good. I think he will be goal kicking as well, going by that. Can't imagine one of those two goal kicking, Fletcher Sharp or Dylan Brown. Interested to see the minutes with Thomas Kant, and interested to see the minutes with Sandon Smith there as well. Does he come on for Crossland? Does he just play a hooker role? Very, very intrigued to see how that works out. All right, let's head over to the Cowboys. Pretty stock stand, drink water at fullback there. We've got on the wings Braden Burns and Maui Taulagi, which is pretty expected there for me, or pretty expected for most people. Maui Taulagi lining up on the left, Braden Burns will be on the right. I think Braden Burns is honestly so freaking underrated in this team and this attack. I think he's going to be a very good option for the Cowboys. I hope he keeps his spot for the year. You obviously got a guy like Robert Darby there, lurking up in the wings, but I just think Robert Darby's got too many mistakes in him. Braden Burns, a lot more consistent, a lot more trustworthy, a lot more of an impact as well. In the centers, here we go, baby. Jackson Purdue and Tom Chester. So, first one I'll attack is Jackson Purdue here. So, rumored pretty much all off-season, most of the preseason, that he would be lining up in the 6 jersey. He'd been training at 6 as well. Then Jake Clifford started absolutely tearing it up in the preseason. That really sort of changed the decision for Todd Payton and this Cowboys team to put Jackson Purdue back in that left center spot there. Whether that changes once Zach Labour is back from suspension, I'm not quite sure. I would assume that's why Tom Chester is in for the 2 weeks. I'll be very wary as him as a cheapie in Supercoach, whether you start with him, whether he actually plays round 3 once Zach Labour is back from suspension. Does he get these two games to really show what he can do and actually cement his spot in this team? I would be pretty confident to say that Jackson Purdue will keep obviously that left center role, but obviously depending on how Jake Clifford does go at the 6. If the halves don't work here with Jake Clifford and Tommy Dearden, then I would be expecting Jackson Purdue to go into that 6, and that would bring Tom Chester and Zach Labour into the centers. Going from there, Jake Clifford and Tommy Dearden in the halves, which is pretty expected if we've got Jackson Purdue in the centers. In the forward roles, we have got Cohen Hess and Jason Tamalolo. Pretty expected for me there. Reed Marnie getting his debut Cowboys start at number 9 there in the hooker role. Very intrigued to see what his minutes are looking like, depending on the bench with Sonny Luke. On the edges, Helium Lukey making his return after a year off with injury for ACL, and Sam McIntyre on the other edge. Good to see Sam McIntyre actually getting a start over a John Bateman. I really think Sam McIntyre actually deserves his opportunity, so good to see that there. Ruben Cotter in the lock role, pretty much an enforcer. That was pretty much expected there. And here we go. On the bench, Sonny Luke in the 14. Very intrigued to see what the minutes are like for Sonny Luke in this team here heading to Vegas. Does he play 10 minutes either side of half time? Does he come on for the last 20 potentially as a bit of an X factor, last 15? I'm not quite sure. Very intrigued to see how that looks. And then it looks like we've got 5 forwards here on the rest of the bench for the Cowboys. Thomas McKaylee, Harrison Edwards, Kai O'Donnell, Griffin Neame, and John Bateman. Interesting that they've gone for sort of no X factor sort of backline player. Just trying to think who potentially would be one for the Cowboys this year. Just can't think of one off the top of the dome. Obviously, you got Fletcher Hunt there for the Knights. Whether I think that's actually cover for Kalen Pong and getting injured, I'm not sure. But interesting to see that Cowboys are rolling with 1 replacement hooker and 5 forwards there on that bench. But overall, don't actually mind that team. Obviously, you got Robert Darby on the reserves there. And reserves for Newcastle, you got Tyson Gamble, Cody Hopwood, and James Schiller. Very intrigued. Obviously, Newcastle have no coach. Obviously, it's meant to be Justin Holbrook there, which is interesting. Overall, though, I think honestly, I'm very surprised with this Knights halves pairing. For me, I couldn't touch Knights in this game, not knowing how they're going to perform in the spine. We had not even seen Sharp and Brown perform in the halves yet, even with KP and Crossland. Just super intrigued how it all looks. Excited for Trey Mooney getting that starting role there for the Knights, which is good to see. All right, let's head over to the last game, the second game. We've got the Doggies and the Dragons here in this one. Starting off with the Doggies. So we've got Connor Tracy at fullback, pretty expected there. On the wings, we've got Jacob Carraz. Good to see he is healthy and ready to go. And Marcelo Montoya. So Jacob Carraz should be on the right wing, Marcelo Montoya on the left. In your centers, we've got Bronson Cherry and Stephen Crichton. Very intrigued to see where Stephen Crichton actually plays. So he actually lined up on the left in preseason, which I thought was freaking interesting compared to the right last year. Should be goal kicking as well. Do these two swap sides? I'm not quite sure. We'll just have to wait and see. In the halves for the Doggies, we've got Matt Burton and Lockie Galvin in the 7. So Matt Burton is healthy and fit by the looks of it, ready to go in this one here. Got a little bit of a hammy tweak in that trial 2 weeks ago against the Knights, but looks like he is fit and ready to go for this one. Huge gain for the Doggies. Instead of Sean O'Sullivan there. Not that Sean O'Sullivan is a bad replacement at all, just that's what they would have trained all preseason, all off-season. Matt Burton in the 6 and Lockie Galvin in the 7. In your front row, we've got Max King and we got Sam Hughes lining up. So obviously Leo Thompson is out for about 8 to 10 weeks for the Doggies. So interesting to see Sam Hughes get the start for the Doggies. I thought maybe potentially Tupanua might be an option for the Doggies to start up front there. But Max King and Sam Hughes line up front. Bailey Hayward getting the 9 jersey, which was pretty expected. Just intrigued to see how many minutes Bailey Hayward actually does play there. Where Gordon Chan come to, obviously you got Kurt Mann there as well. I completely forgot about Kurt Mann, my bad. On the edges, probably the most dominant edge pairing, I'd say, in the comp. Definitely top 3, William and Kickout and Jacob Preston there. Kickout on the left, Jacob Preston on the right. And at lock, starting lock, we got Jamin Salmon, pretty expected. Not massive surprises really in this Bulldogs team. The main sort of talking points are just, I guess, what sides do the centers play? And obviously Sam Hughes getting the start in the middle there. All right, heading to the interchange. Kurt Mann, replacement hooker there in your 14 role. Interested to see how many minutes he takes off Bailey Hayward. And then they've gone for... Interesting. Very interesting, actually. Just 3 sort of forwards on the bench. Tilly Tupanoa, Harry Hayes, and Josh Curran. Then they've gone with Sean O'Sullivan and Jake Turpin. That is very interesting. Maybe I would have thought if they thought they were worried about Matt Burton that they would just keep Sean O'Sullivan there on the bench, which they have. Jake Turpin is a very interesting one because he kind of plays a little bit in the halves. I don't think he plays any sort of fullback or centers or wing. I've only known him to play a bit of hooker and a bit of half, which I would have thought your replacement hooker is Kurt Mann if something happens to Bailey Hayward, and I would have thought if something happens to Matt Burton, I would have thought that Sean O'Sullivan would be a replacement half. So that's a very interesting bench there. I'm very intrigued to see. I wouldn't say that Jake Turpin gets any minutes for the Doggies there. I'm very intrigued by that one there. I would have thought that maybe Jonathan Sewer may be a little bit of a better option. He's on the reserves here. You got Alec Jones and Anari Tawala there as well. Very interesting. I'm very intrigued by the Bulldogs in that selection there by Cameron Serraldo. Heading into the Dragons, I think it's a pretty expected backline here, honestly, for the Dragons. Clint Gutherson at fullback and your captain there as well. Lining up on the wings, Tui Pelotu, the money man on the left. And good to see Setu 2 making his debut for the Dragons, first grade debut for the Dragons there on that right side. Absolutely dominated New South Wales Cup for the Wars last year. Very good signing, I think, for the Dragons, and I think will be a very, very good player in the future in the NRL. In your centres, now, I want to address this rumour I've heard today. Moses Sully and Valentine Holmes in the centres. However, from what I heard today, it is, along with the Trey Mooney rumour, is that Valentine Holmes is actually playing at right centre, training at right centre for the Dragons compared to left. So we could actually see a situation where both these center pairings in this game actually switch sides, which I find very intriguing. Usually we see Val on the left and we usually see Moses Sully on the right, but that is very interesting to see if Val lines up on the right and Moses on the left. I'm not sure why that would be a thing. I'm not sure if Sully and Sechi 2 having a better combo. Very intrigued to see what's going on with Shane Flanagan in that combination there. In your halves, we should have Kyle Flanagan and Daniel Atkinson. Yep. I'm intrigued to see. I think Daniel Atkinson is a better 6, and I think Kyle Flanagan is a better 7. So I'm not sure whether this is a thing to take pressure off Kyle, just having the 7 on his back. But for me, Daniel Atkinson is a 6, Kyle is a 7. You'll see Atkinson run the ball a lot, and I feel like you'll see Flanagan like do the majority of kicking for the Dragons. Very intrigued to see how this combo works in a full game against the best defense last year in the NRL. Up front, we've got Emre Guler and Toby Catchman for the Dragons. I believe that was pretty expected there. Damien Cook starting at the hooker role. In your edges we got, I think it'll be the right edge, Luciano Leilua, and on the left we'll have Jaden Sewer. Luciano Leilua is a little cheeky pod option for me actually in Supercoach, looking very, very fit heading into this season. Starting in the lock role, Hamish Stewart coming back from injury. And then, alrighty, on your bench. So we have got Haim Saleh. Really? Where is freaking Jacob Little? Is he... Am I missing... I think Jacob Little is actually injured. That's completely my bad. Haim Saleh on the bench. Josh Kerr, Blake Laurie, Ryan Catchman, King Tonga, and David Farley. Interesting. David Farley on the bench. A little bit of an X factor if needed there as well. Obviously, with the new rules, guys, 6-man bench, but only 4 of them can play. So probably looking at this, I would probably be saying that King Tonga and Farley would not be playing. I'm very interested to see how the hooker lines up. Is Cookie going to play 80 minutes or... Yeah, I'm very intrigued by if someone does. I'm just trying to figure out who actually would slot in there for Damien Cook. Is he actually expected to play 80 first round? That's very, very interesting. He must be looking pretty fit if otherwise. I'm very intrigued by that one. On your reserve, Jacob Halagahu, Matt Thene, and Tyrell Sloan there. Overall, not too massive surprises there from the Dragons. The backline is what I expected, 1-7. Same with the full packs. Obviously, starting hooker role there as well. Honestly, the starting 13 is pretty much what I expected. I'm just very intrigued by this bench. Obviously, Jacob Little completely forgot he had an injury. So I'm just very intrigued. Who is going to come on for Damien Cook? Is he going to play 80? Does like Josh Kerr slot in? Blake Laurie won't. Ryan Catchman won't. King Tonga? I don't think so. Haim Saleh, I haven't heard of Haim Saleh ever playing hooker. I'm just very intrigued to see how that all works for Shane Flanagan in this team here. But for me here, I think doggies are a fair price, and it's $1.43 for a reason that the defense should be way too good, I think, for the Dragons in this one here. New combo, obviously, with the Dragons just playing, I think, I don't believe they played the first trial together, they just played the second trial together. Yeah, I mean, so did the doggies, but the doggies looked very good in that second trial against the Knights. I get it, it's just a trial. Obviously, very intrigued to see if the rumors are true of Val lining up at right center as well for the Dragons and Moses on the left. So we'll see come game day on Sunday here, 2:30 for me, Queensland time. The first game is 12:30 between Cowboys and the Knights. Super League game between Hull KR and Leeds before. I think about 10:30 there as well, which should be an absolute cracker there as well. 2 top 4 teams. Hull KR, World Club champions there as well. But, oh man, how good is it? TLT, Teamless Tuesday, is back in the NRL. Next week, we'll have 6 games. 12 teams have their full Teamless Tuesday. So by next Tuesday, we'll know how every single team is lining up for round 1. We'll have the results from round 1 as well, or round 1 in Vegas, sorry. I'll do a little bit of a preview on these 2 games later on in the week, and I'll also do a review of these 2 games on Sunday evening. Do a different podcast just reviewing the games, and I'll also do a review just from a Supercoach point of view as well in this one here. But that'll do it for me in this one, guys. Giving you your Team List Tuesday lineups in this one here. Let me know what you think of these lineups. Did you have any surprises? Is this what you sort of expected? Let me know down in the comments what you think. But I'll chat to you later in the week to preview these games. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and cheers.